The apartment was silent when Ryan lit the candles for the third time, the wax already dripping down the side of the candlestick and onto the tablecloth he had ironed himself that afternoon. Every move he made that day was calculated, thought out, prepared with the care of someone who still believed that small gestures could save great loves. It was their wedding anniversary. 5 years exactly since they said yes at City Hall. No party, no luxury, just him and Jessica signing papers in a bureaucratic room downtown. She wore a simple white dress. He wore a rented suit, but he was smiling. Smiling because he thought love would conquer any obstacle, that together they would build something solid. But at that moment, at 10:30 on a cold November Thursday, Ryan looked at the set table. The plate of steak with wine sauce getting cold. The salad wilted. The bottle of cheap wine he bought with the last of his cash for the week, and he knew she wasn't coming. Jessica's phone had been off for 4 hours. No message, no excuse, just an emptiness screaming louder than any word. He picked up his glass of wine and drank it in one go, feeling the bitter liquid burn down his throat. It wasn't the wine that stung. It was the truth he had been pretending not to see for months. The late nights, the empty excuses, the different perfumes, the laughter on the phone followed by silence when he entered the room. Ryan stood up from the chair with the weight of the world on his shoulders, walked to the window of the modest apartment on the south side of Chicago, and saw the city lights blinking, indifferent to his pain. How many times had he worked double shifts to pay that rent? How many nights had he woken up at 4 in the morning to catch the bus to the warehouse where he worked as a stock manager? How much sweat? How much exhaustion? How much silence swallowed when her family looked at him with contempt at Sunday gatherings? Helena, his mother-in-law, always with that smirk that said without words, "You are not good enough for my daughter." Jessica came from a family that once had money. They didn't anymore, but they kept up appearances like someone wearing a fake designer bag hoping no one would notice. And Ryan was the son of a cleaning lady and a deceased bus driver. Raised in the suburbs, went to public school, worked his way through high school at a grocery store. He never had a fancy last name, never had offshore accounts. He just had 2 hard-working hands and a heart that still believed in promises. But now in front of that empty table, he was beginning to understand he had been a fool. Jessica had always made it clear, even without saying it, that he was temporary, a placeholder until something better came along. Ryan clenched his fists and made a decision. He grabbed the keys to his old car, a '98 Ford Taurus that coughed more than it ran, and left. He knew where she was. Jessica had mentioned weeks ago a business dinner with colleagues from the real estate firm where she worked. La Stella, an expensive place on the north side, a place Ryan could never afford. He drove through the streets of Chicago with his heart pounding in his chest. Half an hour later, he parked across from the Italian restaurant. Warm yellow light, a uniformed valet, elegant couples coming and going. He got out of the car and the valet looked him up and down. Ryan was wearing jeans and a wrinkled dress shirt, completely out of place in that scene, but he didn't care. He walked to the entrance, and just as the security guard was about to stop him, he saw her. Through the large glass window, he saw Jessica sitting at a table in the back, laughing. Her head thrown back in that laugh he knew so well. But she wasn't laughing alone. Next to her, a man in a navy blue suit, impeccable hair, a gold watch on his wrist. Ethan Vance, he knew who he was. Jessica had mentioned him a few times. A partner at the firm, an influential man, the son of a construction magnate. And there they were, not with work colleagues but alone at a romantic table, candles lit between them. And then Ryan saw it. He saw Ethan take Jessica's hand across the table, saw her smile and lean in, saw the kiss. Long, intimate, unhurried, like someone with all the time in the world, like someone who isn't afraid of being seen, because there is no guilt, no weight, only pleasure. Ryan felt the floor disappear from under his feet. The air escaped his lungs, his legs went weak, but he didn't look away. He stood there on the other side of the glass, watching his life fall apart in slow motion. The security guard noticed something was wrong. "Sir, are you all right?" But Ryan didn't answer. He turned and walked back to his car. He got in, closed the door, and then, only then, did he allow the pain to hit him full force. He punched the steering wheel once, twice, 3 times until his hand throbbed. He let out a silent scream, his throat raw, his eyes burning but without tears, because betrayal hurts deeper than crying can reach. He stayed there for minutes that felt like hours, until he caught his breath, until the rage boiled up and replaced the pain. Then he started the car and drove back. Not to their apartment, no. He went straight to the building where Eleanor, Jessica's mother, lived. He needed to understand. He needed to hear it. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it was all a grotesque misunderstanding. He climbed the stairs to the 4th floor, knocked on the door hard 1, 2, 3 times. Eleanor opened it, wearing a printed robe, her eyes wide. "Ryan, what happened?" He walked in without being invited. "Where is Jessica?" Eleanor closed the door slowly. "She's not here," Ryan snorted. "I know where she is. I saw her with Ethan Vance kissing him in a restaurant. Tonight on our wedding anniversary." He expected Eleanor to be shocked, to ask for details, to be outraged. But no. Eleanor sighed, crossed her arms and looked at him with a mixture of pity and irritation. "Ryan, sit down." He didn't sit. He remained standing, staring at the woman who had always treated him as an inferior. "You knew." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. And from the silence that followed, from the way she averted her gaze, he had his answer. "You knew and you didn't tell me." Eleanor lifted her chin. "Ryan, you're a good guy, hardworking, honest. But let's be realistic. You were never what Jessica needed. She deserves more. She deserves someone who can give her the life she's always been used to. Ethan can do that. You can't." The words were like knives, one after the other. Ryan took a step back. "She deserves more," he repeated in a low voice. "I worked my ass off to give her everything I could. I paid every bill, every rent check, every plate of food, while she spent money on clothes and salons. And what do I deserve, Eleanor? To be cheated on, to be humiliated." She sighed again, like someone explaining the obvious to a stubborn child. "Ryan, marriage isn't about love, it's about convenience, about status. Jessica made a mistake marrying you. We tried to warn her, but she was stubborn, thinking love was enough. Now she's woken up. Ethan can give her what you never will. Accept it and move on." Ryan felt nausea rise in his throat. He turned and walked to the door. Before leaving, he looked back. "Tell her that when she gets home, I won't be there anymore." Eleanor rolled her eyes. "Be reasonable, Ryan. Where will you stay?" He didn't answer. He went down the stairs, feeling his legs heavy, each step a reminder of how foolish he had been, how much he had trusted, how much he had loved without being loved in return. He went back to the apartment. It was almost midnight. He grabbed an old backpack and started throwing clothes inside. A few items. Nothing in that place was really his. Jessica had always decided everything, from the color of the walls to the brand of laundry detergent. He was a ghost in that house, present but invisible. He heard the key turn in the lock. His heart raced. Jessica walked in, saw Ryan with the backpack and stopped. "You're back early." He couldn't believe her cynicism. "Back early, Jessica? Seriously? Is that what you have to say?" She sighed, took off her high heels and tossed her purse on the couch. "Look, Ryan, I was going to tell you. I was waiting for the right moment." He gave a bitter laugh. "The right moment? And when would that be?" "On our 10th anniversary?" "Our 20th. Jessica crossed her arms. "Don't be dramatic. You knew things weren't right between us." He took a step forward. "I knew. I knew you were distant, that you barely looked at me, that you lived with your phone in your hand. But I thought, what an idiot I was. I thought it was just a phase, that we would get through it." She rolled her eyes. "Ryan, look at you. Look at me. We don't match. We never did. I tried, I swear I tried, but I can't do it anymore. Ethan understands me. He gives me attention, takes me to beautiful places. He makes me feel alive. And what about me?" Ryan whispered. "What do I make you feel?" She stared at him coldly. "You make me feel trapped, Ryan. Trapped in a mediocre life in a tiny apartment with no trips, no future. You're hardworking, I know. But hard work doesn't pay off a credit card. It doesn't buy a new car. It doesn't put me in the places I deserve to be." The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan finished zipping his backpack. "So that's it. 5 years thrown away because I don't have enough money." Jessica sighed. "You're oversimplifying. It's not just about money. It's about ambition, about wanting more from life. Ethan wants to grow. He wants to build an empire. And you're satisfied with being a stock manager for the rest of your life." Ryan felt his blood boil. "I'm satisfied with being honest, with working hard, with not stepping on others to get ahead. But of course that's worthless to you." She snorted. "Honesty doesn't pay the bills, Ryan. Welcome to the real world." House you once grabbed his backpack and went to the door. Before leaving, he looked at her one last time. "You're going to regret this, Jessica. Not for replacing me, but for trading real love for convenience. One day you'll realize that Ethan wants you for what you look like, not for who you are. And when you have nothing left to offer, he'll discard you just like you're discarding me now." Jessica shrugged. "I guess I'll have to take that risk." He left, slammed the door, went down the stairs of the building and out onto the street. No direction, no plan, nothing but the clothes on his back and a pain that seemed endless. He slept in his car that night, woke up with an aching body and an even more aching soul. In the following days, he looked for a room to rent, found a cubicle in a boarding house in a rough neighborhood. A thin mattress, moldy walls, a shared bathroom, but it was what he could afford. He quit his job because he couldn't stand the pitying looks from his colleagues. The news of the affair spread fast. Small towns within big cities. Everyone knows everything. He spent weeks wandering the city, doing odd jobs, handing out resumes. But depression was a weight pulling him down. Until one September morning, there was a knock on his door. Ryan opened it. An elderly man, impeccable gray suit, leather briefcase in hand, white hair combed back. "Ryan Henry Taylor." He blinked. "Yes, that's me." The man extended his hand. "My name is Arthur Wallace. I'm an attorney. I need to speak with you about a matter of extreme importance." Ryan frowned. "There must be some mistake. I don't have any lawsuits, no major debts." The lawyer smiled. "This isn't about debt, Mr. Taylor. It's about an inheritance." And just like that, in that cramped, damp room, Ryan's life began to change in a way he could never have imagined. Mr. Wallace came in, sat in the only available chair, opened his briefcase and took out some documents. "Did you know Henry Taylor Sr.?" Ryan thought. The name was vaguely familiar. "My uncle," he said slowly. "My father's brother. But I never met him. He lived abroad." Mr. Wallace nodded. "Exactly. Your uncle Henry passed away 3 months ago in Lisbon, Portugal. He had no children, no wife, and he left his entire estate to you." Ryan blinked. "What do you mean, estate?" The lawyer slid a document across the small table. "Your uncle owned a chain of boutique hotels across Europe and 2 resorts in the Caribbean, as well as investments in stocks and real estate. The estimated net worth is approximately $100 million. The room spun. Ryan held onto the edge of the bed. "What?" Mr. Wallace remained calm. "I know it's a lot to process, but it's true. Here are the documents. The will has been opened and validated. You are the sole legitimate heir. There is some bureaucracy, papers to sign, but in 90 days the entire estate will be officially in your name." Ryan looked at the papers without being able to read them properly. The letters danced. 100 million. He could barely afford the rent on a boarding house room. And now, why did he leave it all to me? "We never even spoke." Mr. Wallace explained, "Your uncle followed your life from a distance. He knew about your father's passing. He knew about the difficulties your mother faced. He wanted to help several times, but your father, a proud man, always refused. When your father passed away, Henry thought about contacting you, but he decided to wait, to observe the kind of man you would become. He hired discreet investigators. He learned about your marriage, your honest work, the way you cared for your mother until the end, and he decided that you deserved everything." Ryan felt his eyes sting. "He was watching me," Mr. Wallace nodded. "And he was proud. He left a letter for you." He took a yellowish envelope from his briefcase. Ryan took it with trembling hands, opened it and read. The handwriting was firm, the words direct. "Ryan, if you are reading this, I am gone. We never met, but I know you. I've seen the man you've become. Honest, hardworking, loyal, everything I tried to be and often failed. This money is yours. Use it wisely. Do not seek revenge, do not lose yourself. Just live well and honor the Taylor name. Your uncle, Henry." Ryan folded the letter, put it in his pocket and looked at the lawyer. "What do I need to do?" Mr. Wallace smiled. "First, sign these preliminary documents. Then we'll need to go to a notary to have your signature verified. After that, we will travel to Lisbon to resolve some legal matters there. I will take care of everything. You just need to trust me and follow my instructions." Ryan nodded, still dazed. "How long do we have?" 90 days for full completion. But in 30 days, you will have access to a provisional account with funds available for your immediate needs." Ryan took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do this." Mr. Wallace stood up, shook his hand. "Congratulations, Mr. Taylor. Your life has just changed. And it was at that moment, in that cramped room that smelled of mold and despair, that Ryan understood the universe had plans he would never dare to imagine. And as Mr. Wallace said goodbye and scheduled their next meeting, Ryan looked out the window at the grey city outside and thought, maybe the pain was necessary. Maybe he needed to hit rock bottom to understand there was still solid ground beneath him. And from that ground, he could build something new, something true, something of his own. And for the first time in months, he allowed himself to smile. Not a smile of revenge, but of hope, because now he had the chance to start over. And this time it would be on his own terms. And as fate wove its invisible threads on the other side of the city, Jessica was laughing in Ethan's luxurious apartment, unaware that the man she had discarded like trash was about to become everything she desired most, but could no longer have. And it was at this exact point that fate decided the story was only just beginning. 30 days later, Ryan was sitting in a conference room at Mr. Wallace's office on Michigan Avenue. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Chicago below, a human anthill of cars and buildings, the city that had seen his birth and almost destroyed him. But now he was looking down from above, literally. He was wearing a tailored navy blue suit, the first he'd ever bought, Italian shoes, a discreet but very expensive Swiss watch. His hair cut at a salon where he paid more than he used to earn in a whole month at the warehouse. But it wasn't the clothes that changed Ryan. It was the light in his eyes, his posture, the certainty that he finally had control over his own life. Mr. Wallace entered with more papers. Mr. Taylor, the accounts are active. I've transferred $3 million to your personal checking account. The rest is in investments as advised by the financial team. The hotels in Portugal are being managed by the local directors. Everything is running smoothly. You just need to decide if you want to get involved in the management or keep the current professionals. Ryan nodded. For now, I want to keep everything as it is. I need to learn the business before I change anything. Mr. Wallace smiled. A wise decision. We've also completed the purchase of the apartment you chose, a penthouse in Lincoln Park, 4,000 square feet. The deed is in your name. You can move in whenever you like. Ryan took a deep breath. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for everything. You've been more than a lawyer, you've been a guide. The man nodded. Your uncle asked me to take care of you, and that's what I'll do. Now, is there anything else you need? Ryan thought for a second. I need to find someone, a specific person. Mr. Wallace picked up a pen. Who? Ryan hesitated. My ex-wife's sister, Emily. The lawyer raised his eyebrows but made no comment. I'll see to it. Ryan left the office and went straight to the new penthouse. When he entered, he stood still in the empty living room. The light hardwood floors reflected the light pouring in from the enormous windows. Minimalist decor, beige sofas, a dining table for 8, an open-plan kitchen with state-of-the-art appliances, and a balcony with a view of Millennium Park. It was everything Jessica had ever wanted, everything she said he could never give her. And now he had it, but she wasn't there to see it. And strangely, that didn't hurt as much as it should have. Ryan walked to the balcony, lit a cigarette. He hadn't smoked before, started after the separation, an escape valve. He looked at the city and thought of Emily, Jessica's younger sister. She had always been different. Where Jessica was ambitious and cold, Emily was kind and a dreamer. She worked as a literature teacher at a public school in Pilsen, earned little, lived in a simple apartment, but she had something Jessica never had, a soul. Ryan remembered the Sunday lunches at Eleanor's house, Jessica and her mother talking about brands and status, while Emily sat quietly in a corner, leafing through a book. He would strike up a conversation, she would smile shyly. They talked about Steinbeck, about Virginia Woolf, about things Jessica found to be a waste of time. There was one moment, a single moment years ago at a New Year's party. He and Emily were alone on the porch while the others drank inside. She had said, "You deserve better than this, Ryan." And he pretended not to understand, but he did. He understood that she saw in him what Jessica never saw, value. And now, rich, free, transformed, Ryan wanted to do something that logic didn't recommend, but his heart demanded. He wanted to see Emily again. Not for revenge, not to rub money in the family's face, but because she was the only one in that clan who had treated him like a human being. 2 days later, Mr. Wallace called. I've located Emily Grace Davis. She lives on Palmer Street, apartment 42, works at Benito Juarez High School. Ryan wrote it all down. Thank you. He hung up and stared at the paper. Should he go? Was it fair to show up like this out of the blue? He decided it was. The following Thursday, he waited in the school's parking lot. It was 5 in the afternoon. Students were leaving, tired teachers were heading home, and then he saw Emily. Brown hair tied in a simple ponytail, glasses, a navy blue midi skirt, a white blouse, a large bag full of notebooks. She walked slowly, like someone carrying the exhaustion of a full day teaching uninterested teenagers. Ryan got out of his car, a brand new black BMW he'd bought the week before. Emily. She stopped, turned, her eyes widened. "Ryan!" Her voice was a whisper. He approached her. "Hi, Emily, can I talk to you?" She looked around as if expecting someone to appear. "Sure, what are you doing here?" He pointed to the coffee shop on the corner. "Can we talk there?" She nodded, still confused. They entered the simple cafe, ordered 2 black coffees and sat at a table in the corner. She watched him, trying to understand. "You look different," she said finally. Ryan smiled. "A lot has changed, Emily." She stirred her coffee without drinking it. "I heard about the divorce, about what Jessica did." She looked down. "I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that." He waved his hand. "It's okay. Actually, I think it was the best thing that could have happened." She looked up, surprised. "Really?" He nodded. "It forced me to see reality, to stop living a lie." Emily took a deep breath. "My sister is—" She paused, searching for words, complicated. "She always has been. My mother raised her that way, thinking she deserves everything without giving anything in return. I always said you were too good for her, but no one listened to me." Ryan smiled. "You did say that. I remember. At that New Year's party." Emily blushed slightly. "You remember that?" He leaned forward. "Emily, I remember a lot of things. I remember you being the only person in that family who treated me with respect, who talked to me about things that mattered, who saw me as a person." She looked away. "I always thought you were special, Ryan. I always thought my sister was crazy for not valuing what she had." The silence that followed was charged with something unsaid. Ryan broke the tension, changing the subject. "I need to tell you something," and he told her everything. The inheritance, the uncle, the millions, the hotels, everything. Emily listened in silence, her eyes growing wider and wider. When he finished, she leaned back in her chair. "My God, Ryan, it's unbelievable." He laughed. "I know. I'm still processing it." She studied him for a moment. "And what are you going to do now?" He held his coffee. "Live, Emily, live for real. No lies. No pretending to be something I'm not. And maybe, if you want, I'd like you to be a part of this new life." She blinked. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "Look, I know this seems strange and maybe it's too soon, but you've always been special to me. Even when I was married to your sister, there was something about you, a light, a kindness. And now that I'm free, I can't stop thinking that maybe there's something here between us. Something real." Emily was silent for long seconds. "Ryan, She paused. "I've always liked you, but you were married to my sister. It was forbidden to even think about it. And now, I don't know, it's all so fast. My family will go crazy. Jessica will hate me." He took her hand across the table. "I'm not asking you to decide now. So I'm just saying I'd like to get to know you better. Without the barriers of the past, without guilt, without fear. Just the two of us." She looked at his hand on hers, took a deep breath. "Okay, we can try. But slowly, Ryan, I need time." He smiled. "Time is something we have plenty of, Emily." And so began something no one expected. In the following days, Ryan and Emily met more often. Discreet dinners, walks in the park, conversations about books, about life, about dreams. She told him about her difficult students, about the lack of resources at the school, about how she sometimes wanted to give up but couldn't because she believed in education. He told her about the fear of not knowing how to manage the fortune, about the pressure to honor his uncle's legacy, about the loneliness of having everything and no one to share it with. And with each conversation, the connection grew stronger. Until one October night, after dinner at a quiet Japanese restaurant, Ryan took her to the penthouse. She walked in and her jaw dropped. "Ryan, this is—" He finished for her, "my home. Our refuge, if you want it to be." She walked through the living room, touching the furniture as if touching something sacred. "It's beautiful." He came up behind her. "You're beautiful." She turned around. They stood face to face, the air thick with tension. He touched her face. "Can I?" She nodded. He kissed her. Slowly, testing. She responded, and the kiss deepened, weeks of repressed desire exploding in that moment. When they broke apart, she was breathless. "This is crazy," she murmured. He smiled, the best kind of crazy. And that night, for the first time since everything fell apart, Ryan felt he was rebuilding something real, something solid, something worthwhile. But as every story has two sides, on the other side of the city, in an equally luxurious but more ostentatious penthouse, Jessica and Ethan were having dinner. She toyed with her food. He read emails on his phone. "Something wrong?" he asked without looking up. She sighed. "My sister's being weird. She's not answering my calls, she's skipping Sunday lunches." He shrugged. "Maybe she's busy." Jessica snorted. "Busy with what?" "She's a teacher, she makes peanuts." What could she possibly be doing that's so important? Ethan finally looked at her. "Why do you care? You two were never close." Jessica rolled her eyes. "She's my sister, I have to care." But he was right. They were never close. Jessica had always seen Emily as inferior, the poor sister, the unambitious sister, the sister who was content with scraps. But now there was something different. An intuition bothered Jessica, and she decided to investigate. The following Saturday, she showed up unannounced at Emily's apartment. She rang the doorbell insistently. No one answered. She called voicemail. Frustrated, she went home. But on her second try on a Wednesday, she got lucky. Emily opened the door, surprised. "Jessica, what are you doing here?" Jessica walked in uninvited, looked around. Same humble apartment as always. "We need to talk." She sat on the old couch. Emily closed the door. "About what?" Jessica crossed her legs. "About you. You're avoiding me. I want to know why." Emily sighed. "I'm not avoiding you, I'm just busy." Jessica narrowed her eyes. "Busy with what, Emily? You've never been one to hide things." "What's going on?" And it was then that the bedroom door opened. Ryan came out, a towel wrapped around his waist, having just showered. "Emily, have you seen my—" He stopped when he saw Jessica. The silence was deafening. Jessica stood up slowly, her eyes darting from Emily to Ryan. "No," she whispered. "This isn't happening." Ryan composed himself, putting on a neutral expression. "Jessica," she found her voice. "You." She pointed at him. "You're with my sister." Emily took a step forward. "Jessica, let me explain." Jessica laughed, a hysterical laugh. "Explain what? That you're sleeping with my ex-husband? That you stole him from me?" Emily snorted. "Stole him? You're the one who broke up with him. You cheated on him. And look at him, in a towel at her place. He wasn't just visiting." Jessica turned to Ryan. "You did this to get revenge on me, didn't you?" Ryan crossed his arms. "This isn't about you, Jessica. It never was. It's about me and Emily, about what we feel for each other." Jessica took a threatening step forward. "Feel?" She spat the word. "You don't feel anything, Ryan. You're a loser, an unemployed warehouse manager. You're probably just using my sister for a place to live." Ryan smiled, that calm smile that made Jessica even more furious. "Actually, Jessica, I'm not a warehouse manager anymore. Things have changed a lot since we separated." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He decided to drop the bomb. "I inherited a fortune. $100 million. Hotels in Europe, resorts in the Caribbean, investments. I'm what you would call a millionaire now." "What?" Jessica almost screamed. "You're lying." Ryan took out his phone, showed her bank statements, photos of the hotels, documents. Jessica looked at it all, her face turning pale. "This can't be real," she murmured. Emily touched her arm. "It's real, Jessica. He inherited it all from an uncle." Jessica pulled away from her touch as if it burned, looked at both of them. "And you two, you're together now, laughing at me." Emily shook her head. "No one is laughing at you, Jessica. You chose Ethan. You chose to end things with Ryan. You can't complain if he moved on." But Jessica wasn't listening. "The anger, the shock, the envy, all mixed together. You're going to regret this," she said with venom in her voice. "I'm going to tell everyone, our mother, Ethan. I'm going to make you pay for this." Ryan remained calm. "Do what you think you have to, Jessica. But know that we did nothing wrong. You and I are divorced. Emily and I are free adults. We don't owe you any explanation." Jessica stormed out, slamming the door. leaving a heavy silence behind. Emily sat on the couch, trembling. "My mother is going to kill me." Ryan sat next to her, held her. "We'll face it together." She looked at him. "Are you sure about this? How about us?" He kissed her forehead. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." And in that embrace, as the storm gathered outside, they found peace. But peace never lasts long when there are wounded hearts and bruised egos in the way. And Jessica, furious and humiliated, was about to do everything she could to destroy what they were building. Because for her, seeing Ryan happy, seeing him rich, seeing him with her sister, was the worst punishment that could exist. And deep down, where she wouldn't admit it even to herself, Jessica was beginning to realize that she had made the biggest mistake of her life. And that now, there was no going back. And that realization hurt more than any betrayal, more than any divorce, because it was the pain of regret. And regret has no cure, only coexistence. The news spread like wildfire. 3 days after the scene at Emily's apartment, the entire Davis family knew. Eleanor called Emily 12 times in a row. When she finally answered, she was met with screams. "Have you lost your mind, Emily? Getting involved with your sister's ex-husband? What kind of woman does that?" Emily took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Mom, Ryan and I connected after the divorce. We didn't do anything wrong." Eleanor snorted. "Nothing wrong? You've destroyed what was left of this family." Jessica is devastated. Ethan broke up with her because of this. Emily's heart sank. "What do you mean he broke up with her?" Eleanor continued with venom in her voice. "He said he doesn't want to be with a woman whose family is a disgrace, whose sister has no morals, that it reflects badly on him. Are you satisfied? You've ruined your sister's life." Guilt crept up on Emily, but she fought it back. "Mom, Jessica broke up with Ryan. She cheated on him, humiliated him. She's the one who destroyed her own marriage, not me." Eleanor screamed, but she didn't expect him to get rich. Nobody did. If we had known, things would have been different. And now you, the one who was always the good girl, the nice one, you stole him from her. Emily felt her anger boil. "I didn't steal anyone, Mom. Ryan chose me. He chose me because I treat him with respect, because I see value in him beyond his money, something Jessica never did." Eleanor was silent for a few tense seconds. "You're out of the family," she said coldly. "As long as you're with him, you're no longer my daughter. Don't set foot in this house again." The pain cut deep. "Mom, don't do this." The line went dead. Emily stared at the phone, her hands trembling. Ryan entered the room, saw her pale face. "What happened?" She told him everything. He held her tight. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I never wanted you to lose your family because of me." She rested her head on his chest. "They're the ones who lost me, Ryan, not the other way around. A real family doesn't do this, doesn't choose sides, doesn't punish love." He pulled back to look into her eyes. "Are you sure you want to continue with this? There's still time to turn back. I'd understand if..." She silenced him with a kiss. "I'm sure," she said firmly. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm not giving up because of their pressure." He smiled, relieved. "Then let's do it the right way. Let's show them we're serious." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" He took her hands. "Marry me, Emily. Not for revenge, not for provocation, but because I love you. Because I want to build a life with you. Because you're the one who saw me when I was invisible." Tears filled Emily's eyes. "Ryan, are you sure?" "It's so fast," he smiled. "When you know, you know. And I know you're the one. So will you marry me?" She laughed through her tears. "Yes, yes, I'll marry you." They kissed, and in that moment, amidst the chaos and family rejection, they found their peace. They decided against a big ceremony. They went straight to the courthouse 2 weeks later, just the two of them with Mr. Wallace as their witness. Emily wore a simple white dress, he wore a navy suit. They exchanged simple wedding bands, said "I do" with wide smiles. And when the official declared them husband and wife, Ryan kissed her, as if sealing not just a legal union, but a promise of mutual protection against the entire world. Mr. Wallace took them to lunch at a refined French restaurant. They toasted with champagne. Emily laughed. "I still can't believe I'm married." Ryan held her hand across the table. "Believe it, Mrs. Taylor," she blushed at the new surname. "It sounds strange." He laughed. "You'll get used to it." Mr. Wallace watched the couple with a fatherly smile. "Your uncle would be proud, Ryan. You found someone real, not someone who wants the money, but someone who wants the man. Ryan nodded. I know. I'm very lucky. Emily squeezed his hand. I'm the lucky one. They finished lunch and Ryan took Emily home. The penthouse was now theirs. She had moved in the previous week, bringing only books, clothes, and memories. Everything fit into 3 boxes, but now that space was a home. They had turned one of the bedrooms into a library. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a reading armchair, a floor lamp. It was her sanctuary. And Ryan loved seeing her there, legs curled up in the chair, glasses on the tip of her nose lost in a novel. But the peace was short-lived. The Monday after the wedding, Ryan got a call from Mr. Wallace. We need to talk urgently. He arrived at the office in half an hour. The lawyer was grim. What happened? Mr. Wallace pushed a summons across the desk. Your ex-wife is suing you. She claims that part of the inheritance should be hers, as you were still legally married when your uncle passed, even though the divorce was only finalized later. Ryan picked up the paper. This is ridiculous. She cheated on me, kicked me out of the house. Mr. Wallace nodded. I know, and we'll prove it. But she's hired an aggressive lawyer, Michael Vance, known for difficult cases. They're going to try to drag this out and tarnish your image. Ryan clenched his fists. She won't get a single penny. Mr. Wallace nodded. I agree, but be prepared. This is going to get ugly. And it did. In the following weeks, Jessica gave interviews to gossip blogs, crying and claiming that Ryan abandoned her when he got rich, that he used her sister to provoke her, that it was all about revenge. Part of the internet believed her. Hate campaigns started, insults on social media. Emily cried reading the vicious comments. They say I'm a gold digger, that I stole my sister's husband, that I deserve to die. Ryan held her. Don't read that garbage, honey. These are people who don't know us. But it hurt. It hurt to see Emily suffer. It hurt to know her family had turned their backs on her. Until one day, coming home from school, Emily was ambushed by reporters at their front door. Is it true you married your ex-brother-in-law? She tried to push past them, but they blocked her way. Did you plan this before the divorce? Emily denied it. No, please let me pass, they insisted, cameras in her face, microphones shoved at her. Ryan arrived at that moment. He got out of his car and stood between her and the reporters. Get out of here now or I'm calling the police. One reporter sneered. The millionaire protecting his mistress. Ryan lunged forward, but Emily held him back. It's not worth it. They got inside the building as the reporters shouted questions. In the elevator, Emily broke down. I can't take this anymore, Ryan. Maybe we should... He cut her off. No, we are not giving up. We are not letting them win. We're going to sue for defamation. We're going to expose the truth. They hired a public relations firm, did an exclusive interview with a respected television program. They sat side by side and told their story. The abusive marriage, Jessica's affair, the divorce, the inheritance that came later, the genuine love that grew between him and Emily. They showed documents, proof, the complete timeline. And slowly the tide turned. People began to understand, to support them. Jessica lost her credibility. Her lawsuit was dismissed for lack of evidence. She had to pay court costs, but the public defeat was worse than the financial one. Ethan didn't come back. No other rich man wanted to get close. She was left alone in the apartment she rented with the little money she had. Eleanor tried to maintain her composure, but was also suffering. Her friends at the country club started asking about her millionaire son-in-law, about Emily, and she had no answers that didn't expose her as the villain she had been. One afternoon in December, 3 months after the wedding, Emily was in the library when the doorman called. There's a woman here asking to see you, an Eleanor Davis. Emily froze. Ryan was in a meeting. She had to decide alone. Send her up. Minutes later, the doorbell rang. Emily opened it. Eleanor stood there looking older, her hair grayer with dark circles under her eyes. Mom. Eleanor looked at her daughter. Can I come in? Emily stepped aside. She entered and stood in the living room looking around. Is all this yours? Emily nodded. Ours, mine and Ryan's. Eleanor sat down uninvited. I came because... She paused. I came because I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Emily crossed her arms. What mistake, Mom? Rejecting me. Disowning me. Supporting Jessica in her lies? Eleanor looked down. All of it, I was wrong. Ryan is a good man, he always was. I couldn't see it because I was blinded by status, by money, by appearances. And now I've lost both my daughters. Jessica doesn't speak to me anymore. She blames me for losing Ethan. And you have every right to hate me. Emily sat in the armchair opposite her. I don't hate you, Mom, I'm just disappointed. You chose the wrong values. You chose appearance over character. Eleanor wiped away a tear, I know, and I'm paying dearly for it. I came to ask for forgiveness. I don't expect you to take me back. I just wanted you to know that I regret it. Emily was silent for a long moment. I can forgive you, Mom, but forgetting will take time. You hurt me, you hurt Ryan, and I don't know if our relationship can ever be what it was. Eleanor nodded. I understand. I'm just asking for a chance to get to know the man you chose better, to rebuild some kind of bridge. Emily thought. Ryan arrived at that moment, walked in and stopped when he saw Eleanor. She stood up. Ryan, I came to apologize. To you and to my daughter. I was unfair, cruel, prejudiced. You were always a good man and I failed to see it. He looked at Emily. She gave a slight nod. He sighed. Eleanor, what you did hurt. But if Emily is willing to give you a chance, then so am I. But it will be slow, gradually. Only actions will rebuild trust, not words. She nodded. I accept those conditions. I will prove that I've changed. She left shortly after, leaving the couple alone. Emily leaned against Ryan. Do you think she's really changed? He kissed the top of her head. I don't know, honey. But everyone deserves a chance at redemption. We'll see. And so slowly the wounds began to heal. Eleanor started visiting them once a week. Tense and formal at first, but over time she relaxed. She started laughing at Ryan's jokes, praising Emily's cooking, asking about his business with genuine interest. Jessica, on the other hand, sank deeper and deeper. She lost her job at the real estate firm after the scandal. She tried to start her own business, but with no capital and no reputation. She went bankrupt in 6 months. She had to move to a smaller apartment, then smaller still until she ended up back in her mother's house, in the little single bedroom that hadn't changed since she was a teenager. And there, surrounded by old posters and broken dreams, Jessica finally faced the truth. She had destroyed everything. She destroyed a real marriage for an illusion, destroyed her relationship with her sister out of pride, destroyed her own life out of greed. And now, seeing Emily happy, seeing Ryan thriving, seeing them build something beautiful, the pain was unbearable. One January night, drunk and desperate, Jessica called Ryan. It was 2 a.m. He answered, sleepy. Hello, Ryan? Her voice was slurred. It's me. He sat up in bed. Emily woke up beside him. Jessica, what do you want? She sobbed. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. You were everything I needed and I threw it all away. I was stupid, I was selfish, He cut her off. Jessica, you're drunk. Go to sleep, she insisted. I still love you, Ryan, I always have. I just didn't know how to show it. He sighed. No, Jessica, you never loved me. You loved the idea of having someone to serve you, to support you, to adore you without asking for anything in return. But real love isn't that. Love is a partnership. It's respect, it's seeing the other person. And you never saw me. She cried louder. I see you now. It's too late, he agreed. It's too late, Jessica. I love Emily. I truly love her. And nothing you say will change that. Move on, get therapy, rebuild your life. But leave me alone, he hung up. Emily took his hand. Are you okay? He nodded. I am. She can't hurt me anymore. She's lost that power. Emily smiled. I love you. He pulled her in for a kiss. I love you more. And in that silent dawn, as Jessica cried alone on the other side of the city, Ryan and Emily sealed once more the certainty that they had found something rare, something precious, something worth all the battles, all the judgments, all the losses. Because in the end, when you find the right person, nothing else matters. And they had found each other in the midst of chaos, in the midst of pain, in the midst of the storm. And that was precisely what made their love unbreakable, because it was tested from the very first day and it held firm. And now, with bridges being rebuilt, with Eleanor asking for forgiveness, with Jessica finally accepting defeat, the future opened up before them, full of possibilities. And Ryan, looking at Emily sleeping beside him after that disturbing call, gave a silent thank you. He thanked the uncle he never knew, thanked the pain that shaped him. even thanked the betrayal that set him free. Because everything, absolutely everything, had brought him here. To this bed, to this woman, to this life that finally made sense. And for the first time since he discovered the affair in that restaurant months ago, Ryan slept in peace. Complete peace, true peace. Because he knew that no matter what came next, he wouldn't be alone. He would have Emily by his side. And that was everything. It was more than everything. It was all he had ever needed but never had until now. 6 months after the wedding, Emily discovered she was pregnant. She took the test on a March morning, 3 times to be sure. All 3 pink lines screamed the same truth. She was going to be a mother. She waited for Ryan to get home from the office. He walked in, briefcase in hand, tie loosened, tired but smiling when he saw her. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" She couldn't hold it in. She held out the test. He looked at it, not understanding at first, then his eyes widened. "Is this what I think it is?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "We're having a baby." Ryan dropped everything, ran to her and lifted her into his arms, spinning her around, laughing, crying. "Oh my God, Emily, we're going to be parents." She laughed nervously. "Are you happy?" He set her down, held her face between his hands. "Happy doesn't even begin to cover it. I'm complete. For the first time in my life, I'm complete." They kissed, and in that kiss there was hope, promise, a future. In the following days, they told Eleanor, who cried with joy, hugged Emily tightly. "My daughter, what a blessing. I'm going to be a grandmother." Ryan smiled, watching the scene. The relationship between them was improving every week. Eleanor was proving with actions that she had changed. She helped Emily with shopping, looked up healthy recipes for pregnant women, knitted baby clothes in neutral colors because they didn't know the gender yet. And on a rainy April afternoon, Eleanor brought up the inevitable. "Emily, have you told Jessica?" Emily shook her head. "I haven't had the courage." She looked out the window. "She's my sister, Mom, but I don't know if she wants to know." Eleanor sighed. "She's different, you know. Quieter, more reflective. She started therapy. She's trying to rebuild herself. Maybe it would be good for you to give her a chance." Emily thought for a long moment. "I'll think about it." A week later, Emily arranged to have coffee with Jessica. A neutral place, a traditional bakery in the neighborhood where they grew up. She arrived first nervous, fidgeting with a napkin. Then Jessica walked in, too thin, her hair dull, wearing simple clothes. She was a different person. She sat down cautiously. "Hi, Em." Emily gave a small smile. "Hi, Jess." They sat in awkward silence until Jessica broke it. "Thanks for agreeing to see me. I know I don't deserve it." Emily took a deep breath. "Mom said you're in therapy." Jessica nodded. "I am. 3 times a week. I'm trying to understand why I did all the things I did. Why I destroyed the people who loved me." Emily stirred her coffee. "And are you figuring it out?" Jessica stared into her cup. "I'm discovering that I've always been afraid. Afraid of being poor again. Afraid of not being enough. Afraid of turning into Mom, trapped in a life with no excitement. So I chased the wrong things. Money, status, men who would validate me. And in the process, I threw away the only man who truly loved me, and I lost my sister." Emily felt her eyes sting. "You hurt me, Jess. You abandoned me when I chose to be happy." Jessica wiped away a tear. "I know, and I hate myself for it. You were always better than me, purer, kinder. And when I saw you with Ryan, I saw everything I'd thrown away, and I couldn't stand it. I wanted to destroy it because if I couldn't be happy, you shouldn't be either. But I was wrong, so wrong." Emily reached her hand across the table, touched her sister's. Jessica looked up, surprised. Emily said softly, "I came here because I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant." Jessica's eyes widened. "Really?" Emily nodded. 3 months. Jessica squeezed her hand. "Congratulations, Em, truly. You're going to be an amazing mother." Emily took a deep breath. "I want you to be a part of this, of my child's life. But only if you've really changed. Only if you're not going to bring any poison with you." Jessica shook her head frantically. "I won't, I swear. I want to be better. I want my sister back. I want to know my nephew or niece. Please give me that chance." Emily studied her face, saw sincerity where before there had only been calculation. "Okay, slowly. We'll rebuild, little by little." Jessica smiled, a small but genuine smile. "Thank you, Em. I won't let you down again." They left the cafe and Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She told Ryan that night, He listened and then said, "If you think she's changed, I trust you, but I'll be watching. One wrong move and she's out of our lives." Emily agreed. "That's fair." And so, slowly, the family began to reassemble. Not perfect, the scars still ached, but it was real. The months passed, Emily's belly grew. They found out it was a boy. They chose the name together, Henry, in honor of the uncle who changed everything. Ryan prepared the baby's room with obsessive care. He painted the walls light blue, assembled a solid wood crib, put up shelves with children's books. Emily laughed, seeing him so dedicated. "You're going to spoil him." Ryan kissed her belly. "I'm going to give him everything I never had. But mostly I'm going to give him my presence, my love, my time. Things money can't buy." She smiled, moved. "You're going to be a wonderful father." In August, on a cold morning, Emily felt contractions. She woke Ryan up. "It's time." He jumped out of bed, grabbed the bag that had been packed for weeks, and took her to the hospital. He called Eleanor on the way. She said she'd be there in minutes. And she was, along with Jessica, who had asked to come. In the waiting room, Ryan paced back and forth, nervous. Eleanor held Jessica's hand, the two of them silent until a nurse called out, "Mr. Taylor, you can come in. She's asking for you." He ran in. Emily was in the bed, sweaty, pale but smiling. She held his hand. "Stay with me." He kissed her forehead. "I wouldn't leave even if the world ended." The next few hours were intense. Strong contractions, controlled breathing, doctors coming and going. And then at 7:23 on a sunny Saturday morning, Henry was born. He cried loudly, healthy, perfect. They placed him in Emily's arms. She looked at the tiny being and burst into tears. "Our son, Ryan, look at our son." Ryan was crying too, gently touching the baby's head. "He's perfect, honey. Just like you." She laughed through her tears. "He has your eyes." Later, they let Eleanor and Jessica in. Both were emotional. Eleanor held her grandson with reverence. "Welcome, Henry. You are going to be so loved." Jessica stayed back. Emily noticed. "Jess, do you want to hold him?" Jessica hesitated. "Can I?" Emily nodded. Eleanor passed the baby to her. Jessica held him carefully, looked at that little face, and something inside her finally broke. All the bitterness, all the envy, it all dissolved in the face of that innocence. "I'm sorry," she said to Emily. "I'm sorry for everything. If he grows up to be half the people you two are, he'll be an incredible man." Ryan came closer. "Thank you, Jessica, for being here." She looked at him, at the man she had despised, humiliated, lost. "Thank you, Ryan, for not giving up on me as family, for giving me this chance." He nodded. "Everyone deserves a fresh start, you included." In the following months, life settled into a good routine. Henry grew fast, healthy, and happy. Emily took a leave of absence from school to enjoy her son. Ryan worked from home whenever he could, so he wouldn't miss a moment. Eleanor came over every day to help. Jessica visited on weekends, brought simple gifts, offered genuine help. And something in her really had changed. She was no longer the ambitious, cold woman. She was more human, more real. She found a job as an agent at another real estate firm, a small one, modest salary but honest. She rented a small but neat apartment and began to rebuild her life on her own terms. One November afternoon, sitting on the penthouse balcony while Henry slept, Jessica said to Emily, "You know what I've learned?" Emily looked curious. "What?" Jessica sighed. "That we spend our whole lives chasing the wrong things. Money, status, external validation. And we forget to look for what really matters. Inner peace, true relationships, purpose. Ryan had all of that and I didn't see it. You have all of that, and I envied it instead of learning from it." Emily took her hand. "It's never too late to start over, Jess. Look at you now. Working, living with dignity, rebuilding bonds. I'm proud of you." Jessica smiled, her eyes welling up. "Thank you for not giving up on me, Em. I didn't deserve it, but you insisted." Emily squeezed her hand. "You're my sister. You always will be. Mistakes don't erase that." Jessica hugged her and cried, not from pain, but from gratitude, from relief, from redemption. Ryan watched the scene from inside the living room, holding Henry in his arms. The baby had woken up, wide eyes watching his father. Ryan whispered, "You see that, son? That's your family. Imperfect, scarred, but real. And you're going to grow up knowing that mistakes can be fixed with love, that pride can be healed with humility, that no betrayal is so great it can't be forgiven if there's genuine remorse." Henry gave a toothless grin. Ryan laughed. "You get it all, don't you, smart guy?" At that moment, Mr. Wallace called. Ryan answered. "Arthur, how are you?" The old lawyer's voice sounded tired but happy. "Well, Ryan, I'm calling with some news. The project we discussed has been approved." Ryan smiled. "Really?" Mr. Wallace confirmed. "Yes, the city approved the construction of the school. You can break ground next month." Months earlier, Ryan had decided to invest part of his fortune in social causes. The first would be a full-time public school in Pilsen, the neighborhood where Emily used to teach. A modern structure, a library, a gym, science labs, everything the children of that community deserved but never had. And Emily would be the educational director. She dreamed of this, of being able to truly transform education, not just teach classes but create a system that worked. "Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for making this possible." The lawyer laughed. "The credit is all yours, Ryan. You could have used this money just for luxury, but you chose to make a difference. Your uncle would be very proud." They hung up and Ryan went back to the balcony. "Honey, they approved the school." Emily squealed with joy. "Seriously?" He nodded. "Construction starts next month." She jumped up, hugged him and Henry together. "We're going to do this, Ryan. We're going to change lives." He kissed her forehead. "We're already changing lives, honey. Ours, your family's, and now hundreds of children's. This is a legacy. This is what matters." In the following months, construction progressed quickly. Ryan visited the site every week, talked to the engineers, the construction workers, learned their stories, hired local residents, created jobs. The community began to warm to this family that didn't just donate money but got genuinely involved. Emily interviewed teachers, designed an innovative curriculum, planned every detail with passion. And in April of the following year, the school was inaugurated. A simple ceremony, community children singing the national anthem, parents crying with emotion, local officials in attendance. Ryan gave a speech. He thanked the uncle he never met but who changed everything. He thanked Emily for showing him the way. He even thanked the pain that brought him there, because without it he would never have known what he was capable of. In the back of the auditorium, Eleanor and Jessica watched. Eleanor whispered, "Look what your sister and he have built." Jessica nodded, pride in her eyes. "They're incredible, Mom, and to think I almost destroyed it." Eleanor squeezed her hand. "But you didn't, they survived. And we learned." Jessica agreed. "We learned that character is worth more than a last name, that love is worth more than money, that a family is built with forgiveness, not perfection." After the ceremony, families from the community approached Ryan and Emily, thanking them, telling them how that school would change their children's futures, how it was the first time someone from the outside truly cared. An elderly woman, Mrs. Gable, took Ryan's hand. "God bless you, son. You've given us hope again." He squeezed her hand warmly. "The hope was always here, Mrs. Gable. I just helped build a place for it to grow." They went home exhausted but fulfilled. Henry was asleep in his car seat. Emily rested her head on Ryan's shoulder in the car. "Tired?" he asked. "Are you okay, honey?" She smiled. "I'm perfect. Today was the best day of my life." He kissed her head. "The first of many, honey. We have no idea what the future holds." And the future held more than they could imagine. The school became a model. Other cities wanted to replicate it. Ryan created an institute to disseminate the methodology. Emily traveled giving lectures, inspiring educators. Henry grew up surrounded by love, by purpose, by real examples of how kindness transforms. At 3, he was already attending the school his parents created, playing with the children of construction workers, cleaning ladies and drivers, without distinction, without prejudice. Just a child being a child. And Ryan, watching his son share his snack with a poorer classmate, felt a pang of emotion in his chest, because he knew he was breaking cycles, that he was planting seeds of empathy, that Henry would never be like Jessica had been, would never measure people by their money, but by their character. On a Sunday afternoon, the whole family gathered at the penthouse. Eleanor, Jessica, Emily, Ryan, and Henry. They had lunch together, laughed at old stories, reminisced without resentment, only with acceptance of what was and gratitude for what had become. At the end, Ryan raised his glass of juice because Emily was pregnant again, this time with a girl, and said, "I want to make a toast to family. Not the perfect one from commercials, but the real one. The one that makes mistakes, gets hurt, but also apologizes, forgives, and starts over. To us, all of us, and to the love that brought us back to each other. Everyone toasted, even Henry with his little cup of juice. And in that moment, surrounded by the people he loved, some who had hurt him but had changed, others who had always been by his side, Ryan finally understood what his uncle meant in the letter. Honoring the Taylor name wasn't about money. It was about integrity, about getting up after a fall, about transforming pain into purpose, about forgiving without forgetting, but also without imprisoning the other in their mistake. It was about building bridges where there were once walls, about planting gardens where there was once rubble, about loving not in spite of imperfections but through them. Because real love isn't the kind from fairy tales. It's the kind that survives hurricanes and still chooses to stay, chooses to rebuild, chooses to believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. And when Ryan lay down that night next to Emily, their hands intertwined on her belly where their daughter, who would be named Helena, was growing, he closed his eyes and gave thanks. He was thankful for being betrayed because the betrayal had set him free. He was thankful for having suffered because the pain had shaped him. He was thankful for having lost everything because in the emptiness he found himself. And most of all, he was thankful for having found Emily, the woman who saw him when he was invisible, who loved him when he was poor, who stayed when everyone questioned him. She was living proof that true love isn't impressed by a bank account. It's impressed by a soul, by an essence, by truth. And as he slept, he dreamed of the future, of Henry and Helena growing up strong and kind, of the school expanding and touching more lives, of Jessica finally at peace with herself, of Eleanor growing old surrounded by grandchildren, of Emily achieving every dream she'd ever had but never dared to ask for. And in that dream, just before waking, he saw his uncle Henry. He had never met him, but he recognized him. The old man was smiling, waving, and whispering, "Thank you for honoring our name. Thank you for proving that a Taylor doesn't give up, doesn't sell out, doesn't get lost. You did good, nephew. You did real good." Ryan woke up with tears in his eyes. The room was still dark. Emily slept beside him, breathing softly. He touched her face gently, whispered, "I love you." She murmured in her sleep, "Me too." And he knew with every fiber of his being that he had found his place in the world. It wasn't in mansions or luxury hotels or high society parties. It was right there in that bed next to that woman, building a family that was imperfect but real. A legacy not measured in dollars but in lives touched, in bridges built, in hearts healed. And that was more valuable than any inheritance, because a financial inheritance runs out, but an inheritance of character crosses generations. And Ryan Henry Taylor, the poor boy from the suburbs who became a millionaire but never lost his essence, was writing a story his great-grandchildren would tell with pride, not because of the wealth, but because of the humanity, the ability to turn ashes into fire, betrayal into a new beginning, and pain into purpose. And that's exactly what he did, not alone, but alongside those who truly mattered. And when the sun rose that morning, painting the sky gold and orange, illuminating the city that had witnessed his fall and his rise, Ryan got up, went to the window, looked down at Chicago, and smiled. Because he knew life had taught him its greatest lesson, that you can lose everything and still have it all, as long as you have love, purpose, and the courage to start over as many times as necessary. And with that thought etched into his soul, he went back to bed, hugged Emily, felt his daughter kick in her womb, heard Henry call Daddy from the next room, and understood that this simple, perfect moment was the true meaning of wealth. And nothing, absolutely nothing, could ever take that away from him, because it was earned not with money but with heart, and what is earned with the heart remains forever. End of story. So what did you think of Ryan and Emily's story? This journey of pain, transformation, and redemption? If this story touched your heart, if you believe that true love can conquer all betrayals, all humiliations, all storms, leave a like down below. Subscribe to the Heartfelt Stories channel so you don't miss any moving narratives like this one. And in the comments, tell me, would you forgive a betrayal like Ryan forgave Jessica? Would you give your family a second chance like Emily did? Or do you believe some bridges can't be rebuilt? Your opinion matters a lot to us, because every story we tell here isn't just entertainment. It's a mirror of real life, of the choices we make, the consequences we face, and the new beginnings that are always possible when there is courage and true love. So don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, and share this story with someone who needs to believe that no matter how far you fall, it's always possible to get back up, rebuild, and be happy again. Because in the end, as Ryan proved, the greatest revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you, but building a life so beautiful that they regret not being a part of it. A big hug, and until the next emotional story here on the channel.